Today we'll look into a scenario in which the Slavic nations of the world unite, which include the East Slavs, the West Slavs, the South Slavs. Yeah. And well, that would include this area, as well as that area, a lot of the Balkans. So, well, that would likely mean there would be a need for them to connect. So most likely they would take the route through Hungary and Austria. And they wouldn't have good relations with Germany, mostly because of the Sorbians living there, but at first they'll have better relations with them. But that's mostly because it's to their advantage at the start to have their help. And so the first war of this scenario begins. And so, well, the forces march in. And well, they don't march in that fast because that would be too fast. But, well, Germans march in. And then the Slavic Union quickly unites. Which kind of looks like a big Russian state. Yeah. And then Hungary is steamrolled. And well, eventually Austria falls. And so a peace conference is held between Germany and this new Slavic Union, which mostly did this for connectivity, which would mean likely they wouldn't annex a lot of land, but lands that are most useful to it, including most of Austria, a lot of Hungary. I think they may. No, they're going to annex the full Hungary, mostly because look at it. Doesn't look so nice with just a bit of Hungary. And also, if that Hungarian state would have more autonomy, so it'd be a higher risk of them turning on, well, the rest of the country, and they could easily split the country in two. Yeah. And they don't want a thin middle, because anyone can take advantage of a small choke point. Any small choke point, for that matter. And well, Germany, actually, this looks like good borders for Germany. Imagine if that was a post-World War plan. Well, doubt it would ever happen because it makes nation too strong. Then we have Greece. They probably have good relations with Greece because Serbia does, and Serbia's a part. But then again, we have a country that's full of a lot of nationalistic people. Nationalistic people. Yeah, everybody's a nationalist in this country, including Belarus. And well, they go into the Balkans. But they start a second winter war in the process of doing this, which is so great. Well, first they move into Lithuania from the south. And they move into Finland from the east. Yet they move into, not Scandinavia, but the Nordic area. And well, to pretty good success, is what they think. But as we know, that's just Finland won't let them win. Vilnius falls. Then they come in down through Estonia and make it to there. But they don't want to be occupied, and they view that they have to win or die. And these aren't very great choices, win or die. Which leads to huge nationalism, even with Finland pushing them back to the borders in many locations. Almost completely kicking them out before Russia decides to go with a northern campaign. Even though Finnish is a majority, they push into Lithuania. But although there's one thing, they underestimated the resistance that would happen here. But the Balkans start suffering with their resistance. While Finnish resistance in the south falls a bit, But this is mostly due to the fact they don't want to lose their north and get split in two. And so they push them back. And they even make a crossing across the border. And well, they cross mostly in the cold, useless area. And well, they do manage to take out more land. And well, I'll be right back. They're almost completely gone, fallen, and well, Finland is left. With some gains in the north, but Russia manages to kick Finland back here. But Finland holds this northern area, as they're hard to figure out what's their troops and what's no. Well, they make one more counter-offensive before an eventual peace is sent. But they almost completely kick them back to the border, even kicking them out of the south. And then Russia sends a peace treaty. Not Ukraine, but Finland is the victor of this war. They give Russia these lands, and they take for themselves these lands. Which they send a second peace treaty saying these lands, which Russia's kind of forced, with the Slavic Union is forced to sign peace on this issue. But they now acknowledge that they're never going to take Finland. And that the dream of taking Finland is impossible. But they did take the Baltics, which are Balto-Slavic, which I guess you could say is technically Slavic. And that's likely why they invaded. But Finland, on the other hand, is more like Hungary. Because, well, they're also hungry. And, well, Russia is happy with its gains of lands. Well, the Slavic Union. And they gain a sliver of land from Finland. Not really that much, considering they lost land to Finland. But they didn't lose as much as they could have, so that's always a win. And then due to the fact there's loads of Slavic people in Kazakhstan, they change their mind and go for Kazakhstan. Which is what people expected. But they actually enter somehow into Kosovo, which causes Albania to declare war. And well, this causes Greece to help them. Which causes Turkey to hinder them, Armenia to help them. Well, they hinder, Moldova hinders, and well, Romania decides to. But the only problem is that, well, they don't have the best of the... They're not going to likely win this war. They get them to join their side. And this joins Turkey. This joins Romania. And so... But it also gets Kazakhstan to join, which is crazy. Nobody expected this. And all that happens is major naval battles. Which, in the beginning, Turkey had a huge amount of success pushing the navies back in a lot of areas. And with them quickly gaining access to Albania's water, they managed to do this. But they managed to take out almost all the Slavic Union's waterways, and then they make a major offensive into the Slavic Union. While they're at this, they quickly knock out Armenia, but they don't have really that good success in the Caspian Sea, which is seen evidently when they get kicked out. But in two places, they're not doing so well. Romania and Kazakhstan. Which they quickly do this. Romania's just left to here. Russia starts a huge offensive in the north, headed towards Astana, the capital, which is a crazy offensive. Like, this is the Slavic Union, I keep calling it the wrong name because, well, I do. And well, while this is going on, Turkey manages to have a wonderful time taking out Greece and then pushing up into the Bulgarian and Yugoslav states of the Union. But unfortunately, at the time they started doing that, well, Russia turned the tides of the war. Because, well, the Slavic Union kicks them completely out of the Black Sea and take the Straits over, which is a major loss for Turkey. And they start pushing in. And, well, the sea just falls back to them. And a lot of Turkish forces on the islands are completely encircled. And, well, Turkish forces cannot cross here because it's under Russian control. And, well, not long after Russia controls this area, they start kicking Turkey back, with even starting naval landings and pushing up through there. Turkey's navy was completely destroyed. And well, once that happened, they started falling. And well, Albania falls, Romania falls, and I will be right back. Istanbul just now falls, and so does Ankara. This is after, well, loads of land was just taken back by the Russians. And well, they take back almost everything before they take back Armenia, which is the crazy part, which is crazy. Well, they somehow annexed lands already, which was a mistake. That wasn't supposed to happen. But, well, now, quickly, Astana falls. And, well, the rest of Kazakhstan falls. Because, well, it's all of its cities are gone. I think all of its cities are in the east. The west, Yeah. Well, they have a few more goals. Japan, Mongolia. Well, they're pretty much done with water and naval stuff. But they quickly form an alliance with Greece and Armenia. They call it the I'm not sure. Oh yeah, the Kiev Pact. Well, now Armenia is free to take back its lands it wishes to annex. And well, that's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. I say crazy a lot in these videos. And they annex these lands from Azerbaijan, these lands from Georgia, and these lands from Turkey. Meanwhile, these lands go to the Slavic Union. Greece takes these lands and those lands. All of Romania is annexed. All of Kazakhstan is annexed. And a lot of other lands. Eventually, the Slavic Union, after the peace treaty where they made the puppet and annexed all those lands, this is what it looks like. Ally Greece, ally Armenia, and Turkish puppet, which is tiny. But now they decide to invade after months Germany, but Germany is not left to slide. Many nations in Europe, such as the Benelux, France, Britain, Italy, Spain, and Portugal, all come to the support of Germany. But they don't win. They still lose. But, they slightly win. Depends on what you're using to say win is. Well, and this is how it goes. The first thing to happen is, well, Russia marches its forces into Germany on many fronts. including the north, where they eventually take Berlin. But they're collapsing when, well, Russia doesn't exactly win when they get pushed back, but they can't cross the border anywhere, and they make it to there. They try to take back the eastern part of Germany and Austria. They manage to take back Austria almost, but there's one more thing that happens. This coalition doesn't exactly win, so they lose like a big chunk of Germany, parts of Austria, and Italy. Eventually, well, they come to peace. Eventually, and they push back to there, and they do this. Then they sign a peace treaty with the Slavic Union. Manages to get what they really want. And then some. They only wanted the Sorbian area, which was pretty small. Now they do this. Well, actually, they sign the peace treaty unfairly, tilted in their favor, taking these lands. Not all of these lands. They create a northern puppet. And then while they take these lands from Austria, the treaty was completely tilted in their favor. But they did get a puppet. I think that's the color I used for Turkey. Not a big deal. If it isn't, yeah. We can just use this to symbolize the different puppets, is what that's going to mean. And well, now they do this, which is basically they annex their Austrian territories officially, and then their German territories they decide to annex. And well, for now they're at peace with this giant coalition, but how long will it last? And well, they have all of Eastern Europe under their belt. I'm sure there won't be any revolts, but besides the point, that's not a big deal. Well, Russia has expanded the Slavic Union influence goes all the way from there to there. But then they decide Mongolia as their next target, which is crazy, because who would attack Mongolia? Such a nice country. Like, what do they do? Nothing. What do they do? That's good stuff. And well, Mongolia gets invaded. As they say, countries only prevail when no one's there to stop them. Yeah, only 33% friendships last, so we can all be safe. Yeah, that means nothing. Yeah, with Mongolia being annexed, Japan is under constant bombardment with even them. With the Eurasian Union sending tactical military drills all in those waters, in these waters, in all of the Sea of Japan, all around Japan, which is shocking. But they do have naval dominance before a war even begins, which is bad. They sink the Japanese Navy before they send a letter to North Korea saying to join. So now they start a war against South Korea and Japan. But Japan and South Korea have been preparing for this. They knew it was going to happen. But Japan's already have naval dominance, so they realize they have to fight to their best of their ability. But with Slavic Union forces manage to take out South Korea, they quickly storm this area. Well, then they push into these lands, eventually taking Tokyo and eventually having the full island of Honshu under their control. Well, now with that, well, they just annex lands. North Korea annexes South Korea. They annex the northern half of Honshu, which is too much land. And do they really think this will work? Well, yeah. And Japan finally gets colonized. for the first time. But did they really? No. Colonization. Partially colonized. Well, this is seen as the international world sees this as wrong, except one nation who has big ambitions. And well, this is known as the Kiev Pact, which North Korea officially joins. And well, luckily this worked. Let's see, how did other Slavic Union attempts go? Yugoslavia, failure. USSR, failure. But we have a lot of attempts. They all failed. Too nationalistic. Oh, this is the strongest nation in the world, almost. Because of somebody who does nothing in this universe, pretends they're the best. And they enforce it. They're like, sanction, sanction, sanction. And yeah, now the Slavic Union's economy starts collapsing. But do they care? No. You know what they do? They just get economic aid from China, who puts them up on the right track. Yeah, much like they did 50 years ago. The USSR made it easy for the Slavic Union. It's almost as big as the Warsaw Pact. This is almost perfect. Warsaw Pact borders. And thank you for viewing. I hope you enjoyed. All for today's video. Please like and subscribe. And please subscribe. Why should you subscribe? Well, we're at 42 subscribers. My next special is at 50. That's 8 subscribers away from a subscriber special. Just 8. Concerning yesterday, we were 10 away. That's a major improvement. And that's why you should subscribe. Because Wild Mapper is the most wild mapping channel. And well, as one of the biggest nations on the world, the Slavic Union, well, it's still smaller than the Mongol Empire, I'm assuming. I don't know how many square kilometers it is. Didn't do the math. But it has a strong GDP, strong military, and is pretty awesome. So please like, subscribe, and do whatever. Like, liking is pretty good. So, yeah, that's all for today's video. Wild Mapper out!